Hello and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel and then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and this week our deceased pets come back from the dead to master the art of steam-powered flight as they chase down an enigmatic woman who also needs to die. But before we get into something new, it's time for something old as we check in on our last feature in Box Office Report.
Last time we did the retrospective, the origins of organised crime in BC, before crime, set in ancient Rome with Julius Caesar and other historic figures. How did that one go?
Indeed. Well, slight complications. I don't know if you've been following the news as of late in terms of the mass protests that are literally going on in Rome right now. I'm not saying that we were the sole cause of those protests, but if you were to use the phrase the straw that broke the camel's back, that would definitely need to be applied to us. We are definitely the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of that situation. A lot of Romans are protesting the government, specifically the mayor of Rome at the moment, with regards to corruption, the fact that the city is a bit of a derelict at the moment. There's garbage piling up everywhere. There's a lot of bribery and corruption, all these sort of things going on. I'm not saying that we contributed to that in terms of trying to get the rights to film in Rome on location. Yeah. You know, us being authentic filmmakers who would prefer to do things live and without CGI. I'm not saying that we definitely bribed them.
We had to grease some wheels. We did,
yeah.
Some palms, some. I can't remember. There's a word. Grease some palms.
Grease some palms, yeah.
And grease wheels.
Grease wheels.
It's just
There's
grease
a
everywhere.
lot of grease, and that's contributing also to the messiness. We sent literal grease into the streets of Rome. So. Look, so it's kind of, the production sort of had to halt for the time being while we just sort of gingerly step away with our hands up saying we had nothing to do with this. We'll let that die down. We'll see if there's a new mayor turning up in Rome at some point in the future, and then maybe we'll try again. So, we kind of didn't start production, I guess, on this one.
All right, that's okay. We'll put it on the back burner.
Yeah, all we really lost is just our surplus of grease. So that's all good. All right, on to this week in trailers. And first trailer for this week's episode is Mortal Engines, directed by Christian Rivers and starring Hugo Weaving and other actors.
I was 8 years old when my mother died. She loved traveling the world and digging up the past. He used to visit all the time. Then one day, everything changed. She'd found something. Something he wanted. He would have killed me too. But I got away.
So it's a bit of a steampunk adventure. Everything in that film is giant clockwork, flying machines and trucks and cities that are on the back of like bulldozer wheels. They're wearing top hats with clocked cogs. It's that very. It's
a Comic-Con dream.
Exactly.
Like it is
cosplayers.
Cosplayers are rejoicing. So this film, the title cards for this particular film state that it is from the filmmakers that brought you The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and also presented by is the new produced by. By Peter Jackson. And this film itself is actually based on a book, I believe.
Yes, it looks like that very young adult, adolescent girl who has a secret gift is thrown into a world that is falling apart around her, and only she has the key to unlock the truth behind the secret. I mean, it's the same thing over and over again.
I don't know if you could tell from this trailer based on the audio, but this trailer is dense. There's just stuff going on everywhere. There is a new MacGuffin every 3 seconds as well. There's like a pendant that gets given to her. There's this massive creature behind a door that's also hunting after her. There's like special ships and this and that. Like, you don't know what the focus of this whole story is about. It seems to focus on a girl of some kind. I don't even know.
She's got a scarred face, so she must be interesting. And she's got a pendant that has an eye on it that was secretly given to her by her mother, who had an affair with a guy in a spaceship. I don't know. It is everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure people who are fans of the books will know a little bit more about what's going on.
Probably, yeah.
But this just looks like a visual spectacular rather than
It's like if you took Cloud Atlas and just jammed it up to 11 and added even more CGI and less racial overtones. But anyway, on to the next trailer, which is London Fields, directed by Matthew Cullen, starring Billy Bob Thornton, Amber Heard, Jim Sturgis, and other actors.
Sex.
Actually, S-I-X. I've always known what was going to happen next. So love was a bit disappointing.
Hers was a specific kind of fortune telling. She knew how to get to the end of men. Oh, Niggy. Oh, hello. I live downstairs. Nicola?
Sorry, I was just changing.
So this feels very much like a modern LA Confidential or Chinatown.
Yeah,
it's got that very sort of film noir feel to the characters.
Kind of thing.
It is neo noir. It's got that. It's obviously set in London. You have buildings like the Gherkin and things like that. So whilst it has these filmmaking aesthetics from like the 40s and 50s, it is also quite modernized.
Now, if you had no idea what was going on in this trailer, watching it live will not help.
No.
I have no idea what this trailer is about, but apparently there is a woman called Nicola Six.
Nicola Six.
Who a group of people want dead.
Yeah, she seems to seduce men, bring them in, and then spurn them in a way in which they want to kill her.
I guess,
but I'm not sure if they do actually kill her. I'm not sure if she's dead in the film and people are trying to figure it out. I'm not sure what her motivations are. I'm not sure why these characters are surrounding her, but it's a film, apparently.
Also based on a novel as well. Yeah,
a series of novels, I believe, was from the acclaimed series by someone or other. Amber Heard is the only where I know her from is the ex-wife of Johnny Depp, and I'm fairly sure Johnny Depp shows up in this film.
He does. It's a sort of a bit of a cameo, actually. He's uncredited, I believe, in the film itself. So I don't know when this film was shot, but I can only assume it was before all that stuff went down with him and her. So it feels a little bit awkward to actually see them together on screen. But I have no idea what to make of this film, so maybe don't go see it.
Yeah, apparently the reviews are not good.
They are not good.
But yeah, I'm sure if they managed to cobble together a confusing trailer, I'm not really sure how they've cobbled together.
I personally just think it's an achievement if you actually get an entry onto Rotten Tomatoes in general. Who cares if it's a 0% rating? It's on there.
People don't realise just how much work goes into a film.
Exactly.
And good, bad, or ugly, it's still getting it out there.
For some reason, none of our films have ever made it onto Rotten Tomatoes, and we have to host our own database just so we can keep track of all the films we've released. Yeah. One day when we make it onto Rotten Tomatoes, regardless of the score, I'm fine with a 0%.
Zero is an entry point.
Yep.
And if it puts us on par with London Fields, I think that's a good place to start.
We beat like a 2.7% user rating though. That's where the gold is right there. Okay. The critics' ratings are always much lower than the user ratings, and we make the films for the users, so let's go for those guys instead. All right, on to the final trailer for this week's episode, which is Pet Sematary, directed by Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Widmeyer, starring Jason Clarke, John Lithgow, and guess what? Other actors.
It was a myth. Kids used to dare each other to go into the woods at night. They knew the power of that place. They feared it. Those woods belong to something else. The ground is bad.
So Pet Sematary is a horror film based on the Stephen King novel of the same name.
Yep.
That's Stephen with a PH, not our fictitious
Stephen V. King. There's obviously, I think, also an 80s film about it as well.
Yes,
That and I imagine also a number of sequels, which people that they always tended to do with the Stephen King films, as Pet Sematary 2, Fido's Resurrection, or this is also spelt weird with cemetery. It's
it's spelt with an S.
Samatare.
Yeah, which I believe is because the whole story here is that it's some American town out in the forest somewhere. Years and years and years ago, a bunch of kids buried their pets in this location of the woods. And they start coming back to life, and they put up a sign that said Pet Cemetery, but it's misspelt because it's
spelled by kids. I think then the idea is that one of the kids dies, maybe, and then they bury the kid in the pet cemetery to make it come back. And John Lithgow's, well, obviously the classic line is the old man is like, "Sometimes dead is better," or whatever that line happened to be.
Yep.
He delivered it quite well. I do like John Lithgow as an actor, but yeah, it's just like, once it's dead, there's no point in bringing it back. And even if there is a mystical portal which can reanimate the dead, sometimes it's better to just let them die.
Stephen King's really in vogue these days, isn't he? He's
I think it's just Hollywood's lack of original ideas. They're just like, because I think Stephen King and Tom Clancy were so prolific in the 80s writing novels, and then they just went, well, let's turn all of those novels into movies of the 80s and 90s, and then 20 years later that's like, let's just do it again.
But I think that this time they kind of care about how they turn out. Like the It remake is meant to be authentic, and it's genuinely meant to be scary, not just like a cheap patching.
This looks pretty frightening.
I'm not going to watch it. There's a bit in there that just sort of freaked me out a little bit, where Jason Clarke's in bed, and then he wakes up and looks down at his foot underneath the blanket, and it's gone all like blackened and corpseified. It's just like, that's
people want that dark and creepy stuff.
They do.
There's a thing at the moment on Netflix called Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yes.
With you remember the 1997 family friendly Melissa Joan Hart, pop pink, tongue in cheek, goofy, comedic Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Well, Netflix has taken that and they have gone. It is literally like Guillermo del Toro levels of prosthetic hell monsters
it's
signing your souls over to the devil. I mean, I get that this is, not really delving too deep. It's based, Sabrina was originally in the Archie comic universe, and then they did a dark zombie remake of some of the stuff there. So it is, but like, it's just, let's just take something that's existing intellectual property and go really, really dark with it. To be fair, Stephen King's already starting in quite a dark place.
But I think that's the whole point, right? Like trying to get back to the aesthetic that he kind of set in the first place, rather than the odd, like, let's make it for TV instead kind of approach that they went for in the 80s and 90s.
There was a lot of for TV Stephen King stuff. But this is again, another 30 years of learning how to make people squirm in their seats in cinema and how to make people jump. This looks really quite freaky.
Yeah, exactly. All right, those are the 3 trailers for this week's episode. But of course, before we can do anything with those, we're going to have to take a little walk over to the green room.
Let's go.
Here we are in our fabulous, fabulous green room, where everything that gets birthed in this room is immediately greenlit.
Yes.
So let's have a quick recap of this week's trailers.
All right. First, we have a young adult action adventure steampunk romp.
Yep.
We have a neo-noir femme fatale story. That'll do.
Yep.
And we have a dark, gritty horror Stephen King style film. That's exactly what it is. Just, take Stephen King, remake it, make it grittier. You get the idea.
Yep. I love how you said Stephen King styles, if it's like, it's like Stephen King. No, it's actually Stephen King.
I don't know. At this point, how can you tell?
All right. I believe that way back when I was the person to choose the trailer, so I believe I'm going to have to hand the duties over to you.
Sure. This is a tough one. Because we have they're all so good. Yeah. They're all so good in their own individual ways.
Yeah. Eclectic.
Where's the biopic and where's the indie film?
Where's the beloved children's animated classic or a sequel to a beloved children's animated classic?
These are all exactly what they should be, and they're attempts from Hollywood producers to make big budget things. I know it's my turn to choose, and we've got a couple of options here, but I do really like the idea of doing something steampunky.
Yes.
Something industrial, something cogs,
Great,
something
steamy.
Giant mechanical top hats and maybe not top hats. I don't know. We've got to give the cosplayers something to do.
That's right. Yeah.
I think that's where we've really dropped the ball in the past.
Steampunk has been really poorly represented in film. There's basically this new film and then Wild Wild West with Will Smith. There's nothing else.
Yeah, there's nothing to really... there's a few video games and a few books that tend to sort of really lean into that so much, but it hasn't really been done that well in film. And I kind of... There's other elements of that I really like. I quite like from London Film, that sort of film noir, neo-noir aesthetic.
Yep.
And we can take something a bit darker and grittier and jump scary, I think, from Pet Sematary in a way where it doesn't necessarily have to be dark and gritty, but there's definitely got to be some sort of like maybe a supernatural element to it, maybe a magical, mystical, ritually kind of element, and definitely jump scares. Jump scares up the wazoo.
I love the jump scares thing. All right, so what if we have this in a singular location?
Right. Okay.
So, I mean, I think some of the best horror films are sort of always done in like one location. One location.
So steampunk can sort of be under a dome under the ocean.
Yep.
Although that reminds me a lot of the Aquaman, which I don't really want to. I don't really want to take anything from that. I mean, BioShock was
BioShock the video game as well. Yeah.
There's
airships as well.
Yeah, Zeppelins and blimps. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
I quite like that idea. Yep. We can keep it because then you still have the whole aesthetic of like. Coal power. Do they do that for like a hot air balloon? Has to have some sort of great big sort of like furnace to keep it going.
But I mean, Zeppelins as well operate on hydrogen, and they don't really have anything. But this is steampunk.
Exactly.
So we can add
steam powered.
It's steam powered. They haven't discovered hydrogen yet. So everything is steam powered.
So it's set. It's a film noir. Steampunk, supernatural type thing set in a giant floating blimp.
I like this as well because there's no escape. Like if
you know what, this actually kind of feels a little bit Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, but that's all right. We can do a better job. They tried to go too actiony. We're doing film noir.
That's the third steampunk film that's been released.
It wasn't really steampunk. It was a little bit, I suppose.
It's sort of. Yeah.
Are we then doing like a murder mystery then?
I like the idea of... Because I immediately thought of like Agatha Christie and Murder on the Orient Express, but set on a like giant floating blimp in the sky.
Exactly.
All like, I guess, 1930s style fashion and get up, but everyone's got sort of weird pipes and like valves attached to them as well.
Cogs and wheels that are...
For no functional purpose other than like, why not have a cog here? All right, this is great. So what if we have... I think we need like I think we do need to have the supernatural element in there.
Oh, right, okay.
So what if it is a murder mystery?
Yep.
So we have a detective kind of central character, but it's not clear whether the murderer is actually human or some kind of supernatural force instead.
Right.
So maybe it starts off and they're sort of thinking, oh, there's been a murder on board. This person's been slashed to pieces. Clearly some nefarious person has done this. But as the film goes on, more and more hints and clues and jump scares sort of happen to indicate that perhaps the murderer is not of this world.
I like it. And you know what it's the exact opposite of?
What?
Is the Sherlock Holmes, the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes, which goes the other way, where it's like maybe it's supernatural demons, and then it just turns out that it's all just sort of like...
exactly, yeah.
And goddamn, that's a bad film. I watched it about a week ago, and I'm like, this is so horrible. Like, anyway.
It truly is.
So we'll do the opposite. We'll do the opposite where it starts like it should be a regular murder, but then it just devolves into mysticism.
I think that this is actually based on I think this is actually a Stephen King book, or it's a classic horror story, but it's like the structure itself that did the murders.
Right.
Like it's the house on an ancient burial ground, or it's the blimp made with like wood taken from like discarded coffins or something.
There is, like, whilst they say, this thing is floating through science, it's not. It's an ancient ritual of human sacrifice, which is the only thing that can keep this thing afloat. And so people like they're trying to mask this as modern technology, but actually the science is magic.
Yeah, exactly.
and so, like, you know, there's always someone murdered on these journeys right at the start there.
Yep.
But never before has steampunk Hercule Poirot been on the case to solve it, and then it sort of turns out he's like,
I've got this. So what if the steampunk airship itself, we go with that idea that you need a human sacrifice to power it because it takes one human soul to complete a flight.
Yes.
But something happens on this flight, which means that they now need more than one human sacrifice because the flight is going longer than usual.
Yes.
So for now, something has to now kill more people on board in order to keep the thing afloat. And I like this as well because it's almost like Speed in that you must go 50 miles an hour in order to stop the bomb from exploding. And this is just, we must kill more people to keep this thing in the air to save everyone else's life.
Yeah, somewhat ironically, we need to kill people to save people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we can also, I love that like moral dilemma brought into this as well. So while our Hercule Christie character is investigating, they're slowly piecing together the fact that it may be necessary to kill these people because the shocking discovery is the ship is actually powered by human souls, and that's how it keeps afloat.
They're halfway across the Atlantic between the old England and the new New York, or whatever it happens to be, 1930 style. And they can't.
Well, what happens is a storm blows in. It veers them off course because the storm is, of course, a anguish soul of a person who was killed for that flight, and they've now taken revenge on that airship by blowing in this storm, blowing it off course. They now realize they need much more fuel to get back to back where they're going, or back to where they came from. So something has to start killing. I like the idea that it's just the airship itself.
The airship. I mean, I would have thought that like the steward, the captain of the ship, turns out to be the guy who has to do it. He's the one burdened with the secret that this thing is flying on human souls.
Perhaps we get to like, this is where the twist comes in, right? So Agatha Poirot comes in and says, right, you are clearly the mastermind behind this. And the captain's like, no, the ship's making me do this. The ship is in control. The ship entrusted me with this task. I'm just a pawn. I'm just a patsy. I have to do this.
You know what's really good? Have you ever seen a film called Fallen with Denzel Washington? There's like an evil demon who like possesses people, and then makes them do things. And then as they kill him, the demon moves into another body. There's a detective trying to chase that thing down. Maybe quite early on, he figures out it's the captain and locks him up. And the airship's like, well, if you're going to take away my vessel that I'm using to perform these things, I'll just take over someone else.
Here's jump scare number 3 in this film as well. So Agatha Poirot locks the captain up.
We can't call them Agatha
I know, we
Poirot.
Can't.
We need to come up with a name for this character. Is he a lord? Is he a sir? Is he a duke?
Could be a woman as well. Maybe a duchess? What's a...
Duchess.
Duchess.
Maybe it is sir.
Yep.
And we'll do... Maybe, is it Agatha? Is it... no, I don't know. Coggingsworth?
Coggingston. Yeah, I like how every character needs to have like a kind of steampunky name.
Every one of them.
Coggingston. Arthur Coggingston, played by Ewan McGregor.
No, I actually quite like it's Sir Arthur Coggingston, but it's a woman.
Okay,
so like it's a sir, but then like everyone's like, oh, did you hear Sir Arthur Coggington's on this flight? And it shows up and it's like Emma Stone or something.
No, I think it needs to be Eva Green.
Eva Green?
Yeah. So, and I think what it needs to also be is that no one actually knows what Arthur Coggingston looks like, and they just assume that's a male, which allows the actual Arthur Coggingston, played by Eva Green, to do all the things that she needs to do without without suspecting her.
So the story's not even told from her perspective.
No.
It's told from just a general passenger's perspective.
Yes.
Like, did you hear that Sir Arthur Coggingston, world-renowned detective, is on this thing? And then, it cuts to some guy with a big mustache and like smoking a pipe and wearing an obscure type of hat.
Yeah.
And we'll even get that played
with
by Ray Fiennes or something. Ray Fiennes. And everyone's just like, oh, that's Sir Arthur Coggingston.
Yeah.
And then no one suspects that Eva Green is the actual genius detective. Yeah. And that's also one of the twists in the film.
Yeah, I think Eva Green always brings along Ray Fiennes to like play the proxy Arthur Coggingston.
That changes every time you say it. You said Coggingston and Coggingston and Coggingston. There's a floating S in that name. Is it not Arthur Scoggington? Every time
Maybe
you
that's
say
part
it,
of it as well. Like people just aren't quite sure what his name is.
the mystery is the S just moves.
Just keeps moving, yeah.
Coggingtons? It just goes everywhere.
Just going back to one of my jump scares. Early in the film, Eva Green tracks down the captain, assumes that the captain is the cause of it, and locks them up in the brig.
Yep.
The steampunk brig.
Yep.
And is like, right, dust off hand, job well done. We'll make it back somehow. They'll solve that problem as well. But then, maybe 10 minutes later, she goes back and checks the captain, opens the door, and all that's left in there is this disgusting decaying corpse because the soul of the ship has moved on.
Oh,
so the soul of the ship has said, "Oh well, I'm not getting anything from this."
It burns out.
It has to go somewhere else.
But that murder doesn't count towards.
No.
So you have two types of murder. You have the ritualistic murder, which is probably on a pentagram where their arms are flayed and there's symbols and there's a ceremonial dagger plunged through their chest, and then you also have the burnt out remains of certain passengers.
Yeah, so when they're the host bodies.
Exactly. And so this is where, so many people are dying on this because the spirit of the airship has to keep transferring because Sir Arthur Coggingston is on the case.
Yep.
Coggingston is on the case, and then the only way to escape is to leave these bodies, and they burn out the instant that they do.
Yeah.
And then also they have to kill these people.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think the final twist should be that the last body that the demon inhabits is the proxy, Sir Arthur Coggingston. So the Ray Fiennes character is the last body to be possessed by the demon.
Oh, but we also have a character who is the story is told from their perspective, right?
Yes, yeah.
So Ray Fiennes and Sir Arthur Coggingston is they're the last two people alive. Possibly they've gone through all this. We need to save all the people, but by chasing the Zeppelin spirit of the Zeppelin around, they've delayed the ship so long that it constantly has to kill all of the people.
Yeah.
And this young person has to choose between the two of them.
Yeah.
The person that they think is Sir Arthur, and the person who is actually Sir Arthur.
To them, just a random passenger, but is actually Sir Arthur, played by Eva Green.
Yeah.
All right, so who's this character? I think they need to be a young character as well. I like the kind of stowaway kind of kid that sort of jumps on board.
I think there's another twist in there where it's a tomboy type character, and we assume that this person is a boy, but the whole time it's a girl.
Yep.
And there's interesting thing there. So I don't know who we cast.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown's a good one. I like it. That's a perfect casting. I'm sure she'll die in the first 10 minutes of Godzilla 2, and she can come and work on our film.
Probably. Should we give her a name? I think
Scamp or something rapscallion,
right?
Whippersnapper.
No, they need a cog name, don't they?
Oh, they do. Gears, Pendulum,
Guillermo.
I don't know. What's Piston? I like Piston.
Piston, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's all right. So
Little Piston.
Yeah, she's known as Piston.
She sneaks aboard the ship. Should we give the ship a name as well? All these ships need, again, a really great coggy name.
USS Enterprise.
Pulleys.
Was Zeppelin dirigible?
Dirigible, yeah.
The airship Zeppelin is that, or maybe we picked some ancient Mayan god's name.
Yeah, that's
maybe
a good one.
we call it Quetzalcoatl or
something demonic. Actually, more than going for the ancient.
Azathoth.
That'll do.
I think that's stolen straight from H.P. Lovecraft. But again, if we're blatantly stealing from.
If you have an A and a Z in a name like that really close together, it's usually demonic of some kind. So
it's called the airship Azathoth.
Yeah.
And Azathoth. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And
that's that floating T.
And as it turns out, that is an ancient sort of god.
They probably built the ship using parts from an ancient burial ground of some kind, or some cursed ground is where they built the ship, and during the making of this ship, 25 souls were lost. Because they were consumed into the ship itself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they got the first flight going. Okay, I like this. Is there an ending? How do we end this? What is it going to be? Is it going to be like an actual happy kind of ending, or is it going to be one of those like happy endings and then right at the end it just sort of screws you over and says, "Oh no"?
No, I kind of like. I think this, like Agatha Christie's stories.
Yep. There's
like 30 or 40 of them, and it's the adventures of Sir Arthur Coggingston and the Offsider who we didn't give a name, and Millie Bobby Brown's Piston joins them.
Yep.
So maybe we do a kind of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where there's a plane underneath, and they go, we can't, like, keeping this thing in the air is just futile, and they release the plane and they fly off over the Atlantic as the airship Azathoth burns and falls into the sea.
Yeah, that's it, because it has no more souls left.
Exactly.
So it has to, they escape, and that's it.
Sure.
And that's the end of the film.
I like it.
No twist ending.
Are you sure? There's not a twist.
I don't know.
There's not a twist ending.
I don't know. Do you want one?
On the side of the biplane that they
Gremlin style.
Yeah, we just see the name, and that is like the name on the biplane is
Azeroth Jr.
Yeah, something along those lines. And then you hear this little sputtering. It's like, oh, is the engine going to go out?
That's right. Yeah. And then
the credits start to roll, and then it goes, no, comes back up, and then they just fly safely away. It's like, twist. You thought it was going to be an ambiguous ending, but we fooled you. It's actually a happy ending.
No, can we also? Well, I was going to suggest what we could also do as well. Yeah, it could be that, but then like again, right at the end, like a legitimate post-credit sequence like they used to do back in the day, where you have to let all the credits run before you get that last little bit. The plane does crash, but they managed to find parachutes and put them on and parachute to safety. Or do they? Because the parachutes are labelled Azeroth Jr.
Yes, Azeroth the Third.
That's right.
Or Trey Azeroth, as I think people who are the third tend to call themselves Trey.
Exactly.
And then it fades to black.
And then it comes
back up and they just land safely. So like it's actually a happy
on a
ending.
Beach.
Like we can do this forever.
Named Island Azeroth.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll clear up exactly what happens to them all in the sequels.
But is there a sequel? Who knows?
It could be. I quite like the idea of a series of these films of steampunk 1930s style murder mysteries solving ancient deity related ritualistic things. It is very
I like that, and I think this also solves the problem of what to name this film as well, because it's just gonna have to be like Indiana Jones and it's gonna be Sir Arthur it's gonna be Sir Arthur Coggingston and the
airship Azathoth.
The airship and the airship Azeroth?
Azathoth.
I think we've changed it about
I have
4
never
times.
changed it.
I have. Great. I think, I like that.
It's not called Indiana Jones and the Ark of the Covenant, isn't it?
It's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Indiana Jones. It's not Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail. It's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yep.
It's not Indiana Jones and the Weird Glowing Stones. So maybe it's the adventures. Is it this? Or maybe
I think it needs to be Sir Arthur Coggingston and the flight. I think it needs to be the airship of something.
I like the flight.
And the final flight.
Yeah, maybe we do it the other way around. So you know how the final flight of Sir Arthur Coggingston.
Yeah.
And then it's the something. So instead of like the Harry Potters, where it's always Harry Potter first or Indiana Jones first, Sir Arthur Coggingston is always the last. You know, it's
okay. We do it like yeah. So the final flight of Sir Arthur Coggingston.
Yeah. I like it. I think that's perfect.
Yeah. So, all right, that's it. I think that's a wrap on the final flight of Sir Arthur Kazakhstan.
Can we just not do more of the sequels? Like, I just like they show up in a steampunk London, and there's a giant beast who has been summoned, who is the spirit of the ancient Aztec jaguar monster.
I love this because there hasn't been much in the way of like classic adventure films, but like with a very strong horror twist.
Yeah.
Sort of like the Stranger Things sort of template, but just much more on the horror, perhaps. And now we have a brand new character to play with as well.
That's perfect.
All right. I think that's a wrap.
I think you're right.
Housekeeping, as per usual, we are online at moviefilmstudios.net, where you can find all of our previous episodes, our bios, and of course, the database of films that we've released on this podcast. Search Facebook for Movie Film Studios and join the community where we post clues as to the trailers we've watched in upcoming episodes.
I think a couple of weeks ago I tried a new format, which was an anagram. So we have emoji clues, we have Google Translate clues, and we have anagram clues. Lots of puzzles for you to solve there.
Fun for the whole family. So give it a look, give it a like. They do help us, I guess. If you aren't listening to this podcast right now and have no idea where to get it, you can get it on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, YouTube,
Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I didn't realize that was any different from iTunes.
It's
but
not.
Apparently, when they measured the stats of listens, it does count as a different different source.
Exactly.
So who knew?
And also a whole bunch of podcasting platforms that we don't know about, but we're apparently on there.
Yeah.
So
Thank the spiders for.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that some sort of algorithm where it trolls for podcasts and populates them?
And someone must be listening to them on
The
those things.
spidery algorithms that are secretly pulling the threads and tying everything together.
Yeah.
I think that's why they call it the World Wide Web.
Yeah.
Because it's just full of algorithm spiders.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, if you want to join the Facebook community, tell us what platform you're listening to the podcast on, and then if it's a weird one, we'll mention it on next week's episode. And I think that's it.
All that remains is to thank you again for listening this week. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.
Watch